Hello everyone. Dear gamers, we invite you on a journey back in time where we will dive into the gaming scene of 2005, a time that left an indelible mark on the gaming industry. In this video, we will revisit some of the true masterpieces that graced our screens, defining the gaming experience of many gamers, whether it was battling mythical creatures, exploring distant galaxies or immersing ourselves in thrilling storylines. 2005 gave every gamer something amazing. Taking a walk down memory lane, we take a look at those games that not only won our hearts, but also set new standards in innovation and storytelling. From addictive gameplay mechanics to stunning visuals that went beyond technological capabilities back then, these games deserve their place in the Hall of Fame. So fasten your seatbelts, hit the play button and let's recreate the excitement and delight that the best games of 2005 brought us. Whether it's reminiscing or experiencing these classics for the first time, join us on this virtual journey as we celebrate an unforgettable 2005 in gaming history. Resident Evil 4, a survival horror game by Capcom. Originally released for the GameCube in 2005, Resident Evil 4 has been recognized for its story, gameplay, graphics, and character voice acting. You control the protagonist Leon S. Kennedy in a third-person perspective. Unlike previous games in the series, gameplay is centered on action and firefights with fewer survival horror elements. The camera is positioned behind Leon and zooms in for an over-the-shoulder view when aiming with a gun or first-person view when aiming with a sniper rifle. There are no crosshairs for firearms. Instead, each firearm has a laser sight. Unlike previous games where players can only shoot straight, up or down, you have more options here. For example, shots to the feet can make enemies stumble, and shots to the hands can make them drop their weapons. You can also shoot down projectiles, such as thrown axes or scythes. Resident Evil 4 adds context-sensitive controls. Depending on the situation, you'll be able to interact with the environment, knock down a ladder, jump out of a window, dodge an attack, or deliver a finishing blow to weakened enemies. There are also quick events, in which you must press buttons indicated on the screen to perform actions such as dodging a falling boulder or fighting an enemy to stay alive. The main enemies in this game are the cruel villagers. Unlike the traditional zombie franchise, these villagers can dodge blows, wield weapons such as chainsaws and throwing weapons, as well as work collectively and communicate with each other. Villager leaders can transform into grotesque monstrous forms to fight you when confronted. Other notable enemies include regenerators, a type of mutated humanoid creatures with powerful regenerative abilities. The game is considered one of the best video games of all time, winning several Game of the Year awards in 2005. It was ported to multiple formats and became a cross-platform hit, selling 12.3 million units by December 2022. A remake of Resident Evil 4 was released in 2023. Need for Speed Most Wanted, a 2005 racing video game, the 9th installment in the Need for Speed series, developed by EA Canada and EA Black Box and published by Electronic Arts. It was released in November 2005 for PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, Nintendo DS, Microsoft Windows, Game Boy Advance and Xbox 360. An additional version, Need for Speed Most Wanted 510, was released the same year for the PlayStation Portable. The game focuses on street racing-oriented gameplay, featuring a series of events and racetracks set in the fictional city of Rockport, with the main plot involving players taking on the role of a street racer who must compete against 15 of the city's most elite players. The street racers become the most wanted racers of the group, seeking revenge against one of the group that took their car and developing a feud with the city's police department. Most Wanted features many notable improvements and additions over the other games in the series, chief among them a more in-depth police pursuit. The game features 3 game modes: Career, Quick Race, and Challenge Series. The game utilizes 2 new events. The first event is Toll Booth, a single checkpoint-style race in which players must pass a set of checkpoints, each in a set amount of time. Reaching a checkpoint quickly adds time to the timer for the next checkpoint. The second event is Speed Trap, in which players compete in a competitive checkpoint race and must complete each checkpoint at their maximum speed. When crossing the finish line, the total speed of each checkpoint is totaled to determine the winner. The speed accumulated by the player or opponent is subtracted by 10 km per hour, 2 miles per hour, after the opponent crosses the finish line first. This is indicated by intermittent flashing on the screen until the player, or other opponent cars, crosses the finish line. The game features a selection of standard cars, each of which can be modified in career mode to improve their performance and appearance. Additional cars are available to the player, most of which are purchased from blacklisted racers in the game or unlocked after defeating the nitrous boosts can be used by the blacklisted racer, while others are bonuses available when completing challenges. During races and in career mode, players can use nitrous boosts to gain an advantage over their opponents. Nitrous boosts recharge over time, allowing players to reuse them when needed. Players can use a second ability to help in difficult situations called Speedbreaker. When used, the ability slows down time, causes the car to skid and momentarily increases the weight of the player's car to make it harder to run it off the road, allowing players to get their car out of a difficult situation. Upon release, the game was critically acclaimed and a huge commercial success, selling 16 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best games in the series. Its success led to the appearance of the Black Edition Collector's Edition, which contained additional content for the game. The game was succeeded by Need for Speed Carbon in 2006, which continued the story of Most Wanted, and the Virtual Edition became available for the PlayStation 3 through the PlayStation Store in May 2012, until it was discontinued the following year. A reboot of the game, developed by Criterion Games, was released in October 2012.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, a 2005 first- and third-person shooter video game based on the Star Wars movie franchise, developed by Pandemic Studios and published by LucasArts. It is the sequel to 2004's Star Wars Battlefront and the second game in the Star Wars Battlefront series. The game was released in PAL regions on October 28, 2005 on PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, PSP, Microsoft Windows and Xbox platforms, and in North America on November 1 of the same year. The game features new vehicles, characters, game mechanics, maps and missions compared to the original Battlefront. Unlike its predecessor, Battlefront 2 features a more narrative campaign that retells parts of Star Wars history from the perspective of a veteran clone Imperial stormtrooper recalling his service in the Galactic Empire. Gameplay additions in Battlefront include the use of Jedi and Sith, additional game modes such as Hero Assault, and space-based objective-based battles. The main goal of the game is to destroy the enemy faction, although there are game modes with a different objective, such as Capture the Flag mode. The game is divided into two eras: the Clone Wars, which features battles between the Galactic Republic and the Confederation of Independent Systems, and the Galactic Civil War, which features battles between the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire. During the game, players have the ability to choose between 6 classes. 4 class types are common to all factions: infantry, heavyweight, sniper, and engineer, in addition to the 4 standard classes. Each faction has 2 special classes that are exclusive to each faction and are unlocked after gaining a predetermined number of points. There are a limited number of special classes that can be on the battlefield at the same time. Battlefront 2 introduces a new special class, Heroes, which allows players to control iconic characters from Star Wars. Heroes were present in the original Battlefront, but only as NPCs that appeared randomly during battles. Heroes are also unlocked after gaining a predetermined number of points and are unique to each faction. Heroes represent the most powerful class in the game, and as such, a maximum of 1 hero from each faction can be on the battlefield at a time. Reviewers generally praised the narrative story, but some felt that the updates to the original were not enough to justify the price. But the game was, as always, a huge commercial success. Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones is a 2005 video adventure game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Casablanca and published by Ubisoft for PlayStation 2, GameCube, Microsoft Windows, Xbox and Java. The Two Thrones is the 6th main installment in the Prince of Persia series and the final chapter of the Sands of Time trilogy. The story follows a prince returning to his home in Babylon and discovering that his actions and warrior within have undone the events of the Sands of Time. The villainous vizier has risen from the dead and kills the prince's companion Kylena, absorbing from her the Sands of Time, which turns him into an immortal monster. Now the prince must work together with his past love F.E.A.R to defeat the vizier once and for all, while fighting his own dark prince personality that is slowly corrupting him. The game combines exploration and combat with enemies. Both elements utilize the prince's acrobatic skills and agility. Throughout the game, the prince must attempt to traverse the palace by running over walls, climbing up or down chasms, jumping back and forth between walls, avoiding traps, climbing structures and jumping from platform to platform, performing other well-timed actions such as jumping, solving puzzles and using discovered objects to advance. There are also several on-rail scenes where the prince must drive his chariot along a long stretch of road at dangerous and fast speeds, requiring the player to avoid obstacles and fend off enemies in his path. Upon release, the game received generally positive reviews, with praise for its story, characters, level design, graphics, combat, and new battle mechanics. The game was also a commercial success, selling over 1.5 million copies in the month after release. Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War Winter Assault. This game adds brand new units and strategies to the exciting gameplay of Dawn of War. The Imperial Guard brings new weapons, including heavy armor, new troop units, and overwhelming numbers for defensive and ranged tactics, combined with new abilities. This fighting force is as deadly as it gets. Winter Assault offers two options in game management: the Order Campaign and the Disorder Campaign. The Order Campaign gives you the opportunity to control the Eldar and Imperial Guard in their epic struggle to defend the Imperium of mankind. In the Disorder Campaign, you play as the Orcs and Chaos Space Troopers, seeking to crush any resistance to their chaotic ways. A new technology tree, hundreds of new animations, and endless new strategies will make your Dawn of War experience much more interesting. Command your troops on harsh new winter battlefields with enhanced urban terrain and additional interactive objects and buildings. 20 new maps and expanded networking features, including Observer Mode, organized team play and enhanced auto-match. Take Dawn of War multiplayer to the next level. A new skirmish option lets you practice combat moves against computer-controlled opponents on a multiplayer map. Since the birth of the Imperium of mankind, the Imperial Guard has been its backbone. With billions of people from over 1 million different worlds, they are the largest and most diverse fighting force in the galaxy. Devil May Cry 3: Dante's Awakening is a 2005 action-adventure game developed and published by Capcom. The game is a prequel to the original Devil May Cry featuring a young Dante. The action takes place 10 years before the events of the first Devil May Cry in the Enchanted Tower of Temen Nigru. The story centers on the dysfunctional relationship between Dante and his brother Virgil. The game features combat mechanics with an emphasis on combos and fast-paced action. The story is told mostly in clips using the game's engine, as well as a few pre-rendered full-length videos. Devil May Cry 3 was released in February and March 2005 for the PlayStation 2. Critics praised it highly, calling it a return to form for the series. Combined sales of both versions exceeded 2.3 million copies. It has been called one of the greatest video games of all time. A 2005 manga prequel to the Devil May Cry 3 storyline was published in Japan and later in the United States. F.E.A.R, a computer game, a first-person shooter with survival horror elements, developed by Monolith Productions and released by Sierra Entertainment in 2005 for Microsoft Windows. Later additions to the game: F.E.A.R, Extraction Point and F.E.A.R, Perseus Mandate, and 2 sequel games, F.E.A.R 2, Project Origin and F.E.A.R 3. The game was later ported by Day One Studios for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 consoles. According to the game's plot, the operative, a fighter in F.E.A.R, a fictional special forces unit, is forced to confront a rebellious squad of cloned super soldiers. He also faces a supernatural threat, Alma, a ghostly creature in the guise of a little girl.
Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, a 2005 adventure game developed in collaboration between Rockstar Leeds and Rockstar North and published by Rockstar Games. It is the 9th installment in the Grand Theft Auto series. It was originally released as an exclusive for the PlayStation Portable in October 2005. A port for the PlayStation 2 was later released in June 2006. The game is the first 3D game in the series to be released for handheld devices, and acts as a prequel to 2001's Grand Theft Auto 3, utilizing the same Liberty City, a fictional parody of New York City, setting. The single-player story, set in 1998, tells the story of gangster Tony Cipriani, a character first introduced in Grand Theft Auto 3, and his efforts to rise through the ranks of the Leone crime clan, gradually becoming involved in a power struggle among the city's citizens. The PSP version of the game also includes a multiplayer mode via wireless peer-to-peer network that allows up to 6 players to participate in several different game modes. Liberty City Stories received generally positive reviews from critics and was a commercial success, selling over 8 million copies as of March 2008 and becoming the best-selling PSP game of all time. It was followed in October 2006 by Grand Theft Auto: Vice City Stories, a prequel to 2002's Grand Theft Auto: Vice City. Psychonauts, a platformer adventure computer game created by Double Fine Productions and published in 2005 by Majesco Entertainment. Cross-platform versions for Linux and Mac OS X were released in 2012 as part of the Humble Indie Bundle V-Game Bundle. It is the first game by Double Fine Productions, a studio founded by Tim Schafer, known for his quests at LucasArts. The player controls Agent Raz, a mysterious newcomer to a training camp for Psychonauts, elite special agents who use their Psi abilities to war against Psi terrorists and read people's minds. During his training, he discovers that Counselor Oleander is kidnapping cadets in order to take over their brains. Raz must stop him from using them to create a Psi weapon. Call of Duty 2, a shooter from Infinity Ward, released in 2005. The game is centered around the World War II era, but now includes many more features and a new level of tactical shooters. You can choose any side involved in World War II. The Axis countries or the Allies. Also at your disposal will be a huge selection of firearms that actually existed at the time, ranging from pistols to large-caliber machine guns and sniper rifles. Burnout Revenge. The Burnout series of arcade car racing video games with survival racing elements. Developed by Criterion Games and published by Electronic Arts in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox consoles. In 2006, Burnout Revenge was ported to the Xbox 360 console. The game is based on the previous installment in the series, Burnout 3. Takedown. The World Tour is provided as the main mode to play through, requiring you to complete various types of events, increasing your rank and unlocking new cars. As in its predecessor, Burnout Revenge features the ability to dismantle rival cars during events, which allows you to increase your ranking and on which some of the game's challenges and mechanics are based. Various multiplayer options are also available. Battlefield 2. The third installment in the Battlefield series. Battlefield 2 is a dynamic team network shooter utilizing the most modern and technologically advanced combat vehicles. In total in the game there are about 30 types of military equipment, and for each of the parties involved in the confrontation, it has its own unique characteristics and indicators. Here you will meet light armored vehicles, planes, tanks, helicopters, as well as such weapons as missiles and laser-guided bombs. The match ends when the number of tickets of either side reaches 0 or when the game timer runs out. In this case, the winner is determined by the highest number of tickets remaining. If you like such tense conditions, then it definitely makes sense to download Battlefield 2 and join the soldier ranks of any of the sides. Gameplay is a series of matches in various arenas, in which 2 of the 3 sides take part. It is necessary to reduce the number of tickets of your opponent, which are given before the start of the match. Shadow of the Colossus is an action-adventure video game with puzzle elements for the Sony PlayStation 2 video game console. The game is developed and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, SCEI. The game was developed by SCEI's in-house studio, International Production Studio 1. Since 2002, the project was released in 2005 in Japan and North America, and in 2006 in Europe and Australia. Under your control. The main character of the game, the warrior Wander, on horseback aggro explores the vast game world. At various points in the game world there are 16 enemy, colossi, giant creatures, many times Vander's height. As the game progresses, Wander, using his sword and bow and arrow, must take turns finding and killing all the colossi. A characteristic feature of the game is the need to climb on the colossi and move around their bodies in search of vulnerable spots. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is a stealth game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Milan. The game was released for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, Windows and Xbox in March 2005. Portable versions were also released for Nintendo DS, mobile devices and N-Gage. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is the sequel to Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow and the third game in the Splinter Cell series, endorsed by writer Tom Clancy. Like the previous installments in the franchise, Chaos Theory follows the activities of Sam Fisher, an agent working for a secret NSA unit called the Third Echelon. The game has a much darker tone than its predecessors, with more bloody fights and the ability for Sam Fisher to eliminate all interrogators instead of just knocking them out. As a result, it was the first Splinter Cell game to receive an M rating from the ESRB, a grade that has since been applied to all subsequent installments in the series. The Xbox and PC versions of the game Chaos Theory received critical acclaim. The GameCube and PlayStation 2 versions also received generally positive reviews. Chaos Theory was a commercial success, selling 2.5 million units across all platforms within a month of its release. Official Xbox magazine named it Game of the Year for Xbox. For its strong gameplay and realistic graphics, it is considered one of the greatest video games ever made. The updated HD edition was included with the first 2 games in the series as part of the Splinter Cell trilogy for the PlayStation 3, released on December 20, 2010. Another port titled Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 3D was released for the Nintendo 3DS on March 25, 2011. A sequel called Double Agent was released in 2006. God of War is an adventure video game developed by Santa Monica Studio and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The game was first released for the PlayStation 2 in March 2005. Based on Greek mythology, the action takes place in ancient Greece with revenge as the central motif. You control the protagonist Kratos, a Spartan warrior serving the Olympian gods. The goddess Athena commissions Kratos to kill Ares, the god of war and Kratos' former mentor, who tricked Kratos into killing his wife and daughter. While Ares besieges Athens because of his hatred for Athena, Kratos sets out to find the one object that can stop the god once and for all, Pandora's box. God of War's gameplay centers on combo battles achieved with the player's primary weapon, the Blade of Chaos, and secondary weapons acquired later in the game. It features fast-paced events that require you to perform various game controller actions in a timed sequence to defeat tougher enemies and bosses. You can use up to 4 magic attacks and a power-up ability as alternate combat options. There are also puzzles and platforming elements. God of War is considered one of the best adventure games for the platform and has won several Game of the Year awards. In 2009, entertainment website IGN named God of War the 7th best PlayStation 2 game of all time. By June 2012, the game had sold over 4.6 million units, making it the 14th best-selling PlayStation 2 game of all time. The game's success led to the development of 8 more games and expansion into other media. The game and its first sequel, God of War 2, were updated and released in November 2009 as part of the God of War collection. And in 2012 the updated version was re-released as part of the God of War saga for the PlayStation 3. And so, dear friends, we conclude our dive into a year full of great games. 2005. This year will be remembered by every gamer as the era when true masterpieces were born. We walked through the diverse gaming world, experiencing emotions that even after many years remain consistently vivid. From crazy adventures to deep stories, from innovative ideas to masterfully realized worlds, 2005 offered us something special in games. And, of course, thanks to such projects, the world of video games has become even richer and more diverse. We are sure that in this video you found memories of your favorite games of that time or discovered something new. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. May your controllers always be charged and your memories of 2005 remain bright and warm. And don't forget, gaming classics are eternal. See you again, gamers.